countdown. Wait, we need a countdown. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon and good evening. It's like 8:19 p.m. here on the East Coast, and this is Unbridled Talk Live for Wednesday night. We have some special guests. Carly, who's always special.
I'm always here.
Representing Saddle
Up
LLC. And then we have Jaise Moore. Is that how you say your last name?
Yes.
Yes, I did it right. I am so excited, guys. So this past weekend, all of us were out in Pennsylvania for Mid-Atlantic 2, the second competition of our big series for mounted games on the East Coast. And Jaise has been picked up and is riding with Uncharted for the rest of the season, which is so exciting. So we've had her on to talk about the experience of riding an open. I don't know if it was your first open competition.
It was.
Oh gosh, so I know. We need good scoop.
Also, like your first time back in what, a couple of years?
2 years, yeah.
Really?
I know.
Time flies. So I guess I mean, we all know Carly now, but it would be really cool to just get like a little background on like how you got into horses to start.
Absolutely.
And how you even found mounted games on top of that.
So in terms of where I started, my mom had always ridden. She started riding at the age of 10, and she was in pony club with Phyllis. Right. So she grew up like right outside of Philadelphia, and rode with Phyllis for years. And then I want to say my 5th birthday, my mom took me out to Phyllis's. And I rode a little pony who is Bennett's pony now, Ebony. She's like that teeny tiny mini pony. And I just like fell in love with it, and I never stopped. And I took lessons from Phyllis for years. And then I did lessons at like a big lesson barn a bit closer to our house. And then I went back to Phyllis's, and I had always done Phyllis's camps every year that she had for like our little group of kids. And I just never stopped. So because of Phyllis, Phyllis was like, I was doing a lesson with someone who used to ride in games, and she was like, well, watch her and her pony do this. And she did a running vault, and I was just like fascinated. And he was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. And then she did a few more skills for me. And then a few summers after, like games camp that she used to do. And I did those for a few summers, and then I really started doing games consistently and was borrowing one of Phyllis's horses and started competing in April of 2019 on one of her ponies. And that's when we like really started to pony search for me. And then we found Luna, and it's been history ever since, me and that pony.
Like that, right?
Right.
So
it's crazy.
Describe her. How tall is she? What color, for people who can't see her, obviously?
Yeah. So Luna is a 13-hand Welsh pony mare. She is like more leaning towards like bayish chestnut now. She started off pretty like fiery red chestnut. But it's kind of cooled out as time has gone on. She's just like a spunky little thing. She can be quite pushy, but she means well, and she loves her job. Like after coming back after 2 years, she ran her little heart out for me.
She did. Oh my gosh!
So good for you. Honestly, I remember she was like a little steady Eddie pony this past weekend. Yeah. She's so reliable.
I know. And that's what I love about her. Like, she definitely has her moments, as does any horse, but I know in like at any point in time that I have full trust in my horse and that she would never purposefully steer me wrong.
That's
Great
so good to
quality
have too when you're playing games. I know it's so hard, all of us bringing up like younger horses coming into the sport where you have like that doubt in the back of your head where you're like,
Yeah.
maybe they will try to throw me or this could go downhill. But
Absolutely.
and when I look at her, she's not even, you think steady and some people think slow. She actually, like, that pony's got a little bit of moves too when she's out there.
She does. It just, I feel like sometimes it takes her a second to really move under herself and get her legs out from under her. But once she's feeling good, like, she can move. But, you know, I always have breaks, even though I'm bitless. I started her bitless, I know, maybe like 4 months into having her. And I ride her with a Micklem Rambo multi-bridle. So it can have a bit, and there's 3 or 4 different bitless settings. And I have her in like the halter setting, and she just goes around perfectly. Like, it's the coolest thing ever. I just, she's just such a good horse, truly.
So, all right, open is pretty intimidating, I feel like, nowadays, because we have an entire full set of 9 teams. I know they split the heats, right? So we were riding in 2 heats over the weekend. And they had an A final and a B final, right? So how did you guys do? How was the experience of being out there with all the open riders? Were they nice?
I had a really great experience. I think largely because of Uncharted. Like, it was just such a welcoming team, and I just was like so happy to be there. And it's I think it can be difficult when you feel a lot of pressure. And like from the get, all of you guys were just like, just play how you play. Like, it's not any different. Ride how you ride. You know how to do it. Like, you've got it. And I think that was a really huge part in such a positive experience, not only coming back after 2 years, but as well as being an open. I definitely, like, a few weeks leading up to it, I was like, gosh, like, I'm really nervous.
Feeling the stress,
yeah. Not only just because obviously like the speed and the competition level, but a big thing for me was the run out lane. And I was really, really nervous about the run out lane, but like, you know, it just kind of comes back to you.
Right.
Like riding a bike.
And I feel like from having ridden in most of the divisions, right, I think open actually manages the run out lane probably the best of all of them because you have the most experienced riders, right? So they get out of it. They don't like park back there. It's a lot safer, in my opinion, even though they're going faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we ended up in the A final, which was so cool.
I know.
I was like, oh my gosh, A final? 2 years.
That was intense too on Saturday. I know we were, I mean, it was just, I didn't see it clearly, and you guys just crushed it going into the PM. It was so exciting.
It was tough competition, 100%.
It was.
The whole time. I felt like we were mixed in pretty well with like a well balance where you really didn't know where we were going to end up at the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
It's nice when one team is not just straight up dominating the entire weekend, like you're saying, because then you feel the pressure kind of the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like encouraging, right? Because the top team in one race might have dropped down like 3 places in the next race, and then you could just win that race. And so you just never really know how it's going to shake out.
Yeah. I think
we have a couple of comments here really quick before because there's a lot. Hi, Lydia.
Hey, Lyd.
We have Caroline. You were flying, Jaise.
Joyce,
we have a couple of people, since we're streaming on Instagram, just saying hi, so that's exciting. We got some hellos here. So hi to everyone who's checking in. Coming from Germany. And we've got Joy here. So it's cool just having a chunk of people join in. And then we've got a couple of people on the Instagram live as well. So Anyway,
make sure
last
you
I
check
kind of
those
went like the
comments.
entire cast and then was like, oh, right, comments. So, hey, everyone, thank you for watching. Really appreciate you. Back to our featured program. Guys, the race list was weird this weekend. I'm not going to lie.
Honestly, it really was. I'd love to talk more about that. And I don't really know what I want to say about it, except it threw me off. Like, I couldn't get a rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right. So, like, I feel like there's core races, obviously USMGA, MGAA that we consistently see, but there is in MGAA, I mean, we have like 23, 24 races. And so there's a segment of races that we just don't consistently play because equipment is difficult to set up or, you know, they're just maybe not favorites. But you guys had Keyhole out there, which
I know.
Keyhole go? Because a lot of ponies get intimidated down there.
Oh. Remington, we didn't knock anything over. Thank God. We just had to circle the back cone like twice to get through it.
It definitely is a bit of a ride when you get down there.
Yeah.
I know watching like Billy, he was riding Snow and Snow got down there and Snow's like pumping the brakes trying to go backwards. He's like, that is too many cones. Sayonara, peace out.
Right. Joey said it's been years since we played Keyhole.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever practiced it. Have we ever practiced it at home?
I don't feel like we have in the past 2 years because it really got dropped from a lot of the major competitions. It's a lot to set up and it's a fast race, so it's like the payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth it. One, because it's really pushing those handoffs. So people who, you know, may or may not know, Keyhole is a race in MGAA where you have your bending lane set up and between your bending lane is your keyhole. And so your bending lanes are like, that's your aisleway. And then you run down the center. You're going to basically cross through 4 cones that are positioned as like a tunnel. And then you wrap a large cone and you cross back through the 4 cones that are positioned. And then you haul home and you hand it off at speed. Mm-hmm. But the ponies go from just hauling down this massive arena, getting to the end, and then it's just like 5 cones and a pillar. It's like right there. And the ponies are like, whoa, this does not look right. And for some reason, they usually just want to dip out like one of the sides, or trying to turn them and then get them back in the cones is very difficult. So how did Luna take it?
I actually sat that race, I think.
Okay. I was like, that was tough.
Yeah.
How was your handoff, Carly?
It was fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember you having an issue.
Honestly, and that was the coolest part about our team this past weekend was I don't know that we had any missed handoffs. And even if it was like a quick turnaround.
Mm-hmm. I've dropped both of my ring handoffs.
Did you?
And coming back in. Yeah, I was so frustrated because that is Luna's race. She loves that race.
It's something to practice though, right? Because we don't hand off things that are like transparent like a ring very often.
Yeah. And so small too.
Yeah.
It's a difficult
definitely. And it's hard too filling in on a team where, you know, everybody has kind of a different speed pony and you've got to really rate that out. Like it takes honestly like an entire weekend to feel confident in that.
Right.
For the most part though, I think our handoffs were like really solid somehow, even though a lot of us hadn't ridden together before, you know. Right. Like I think I rode with Ashley one other time last year, but it was just for one competition. And it was the first time riding with you ever, Jaise. And I think the first time you rode with all of us?
Yeah.
Any of you guys, yeah.
Yeah. So pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have Keyhole is great from Shannon Shea. Shannon, can we get you out to one of these competitions here soon? Because, or just change your profile picture so that I get like more glimpses of you. I miss you.
Post more on Facebook.
So we had Keyhole, Canadian, Ducky. So rubber ducky they put out there.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows what rubber ducky is if you're kind of in the USMGA world. In MGAA, rubber ducky has a small, one of your black buckets that's sitting kind of in the middle of the arena. It's got 4 little rubber duckies. They're sitting in that bucket in water. And then you have a barrel at the end of the arena and another bucket that is sitting with some water, I believe, right? Yeah, it has water on it. on the barrel at the end of the arena. And so the first rider rides out in the middle of the arena, they circle it or dunk or whatever, but they have to get a ducky and move it to the end of the arena. And then the next rider does the same thing, and the next rider, and the last rider runs out with a bag and picks up all of the duckies and then runs them home. Right. So yeah, rubber ducky has not gotten played a lot. I used to really enjoy playing that game though, because there's some people that are just wicked good at those picks. Like you see, I don't know if you guys caught Bree.
Oh, I saw it.
Out there
straight.
It was freaking crazy.
Unbelievable.
She is a legend. She always has been with that, but just can gallop straight past it. Like goes upside down like a freaking Matrix ninja and plucks something out of a bucket. You're just like, how?
She's inspired me to start practicing my leans at a straightaway and see if I can actually get it without getting in my own head.
I went through like a whole phase where I was like, I'm going to do this with Hero. This was baby Hero. So he was just, it was tragic. But yeah, I just did like 80 like reps just over and over and over. And I was so frustrated because it's so hard. Even if you can get low enough, I don't understand how they target the thing in the bucket. So definitely need to ask because like I need tips.
Right. How do you see it and grab it quick enough? It's literally like if you blink, you miss it.
Right.
So, Joy. Joy said rubber ducky doesn't get played enough either. And then she said we had to play quoits twice, and we only played one bottle race. That was really weird because bottle is usually kind of a staple. USMGA, MGA, we play it in most sessions, some form of bottle. But we got to play quoits quite a bit. I love quoits. Quoits is one of my favorite.
I love that race. That is my favorite race.
Yeah, I can see you at 25 maybe being frustrated by it because it would be more of an on-off race if you can't lean.
Yeah.
But when you can lean, that's a lot of fun. And I think I got video. You got your lean, right, Jaise?
Yeah, I did. I was gonna say we both did. I got both of my leans twice, which is crazy because
you've been out for 2 years.
I know. I have not practiced leaning like at all. I practiced the Wednesday before the competition, but I didn't feel like hauling a bucket of water out to our ring, so I just leaned off our oh my gosh, what is that called? Oh, like the mounting block. Couldn't think of the word. And that was the only leaning I had practiced in 2 years. But leaning has always been difficult because Luna's so round. Yeah. She has even though her saddle fits her, it's always slipped. Even when she is at her fittest, she is just a round mare, and it's always. So I honestly, when I got up there, I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. Like the first time I was like, oh, I'm on the wrong side to get off, so I'm just gonna lean.
Yep.
Oopsies. But I ended up getting it both times. So.
And you crushed it, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel like your height helps,
Absolutely.
With the lean. I'm the same way, right? I'm pretty long. I got those extendo arms, which can help. Yes. But it's hard on a round pony. I actually prefer ponies that have some wither just for that reason, to keep the saddle in place.
Right. Yeah. And she has none.
None. He's like mutton withered. But and you guys both actually got your placements too, which is great.
Second time. First time I did not.
First time was a little weak.
First time he didn't even let me attempt. He just ran into the cone and clobbered it.
It's like the video of your ring race where you literally, when you went to grab it, he just launches, he porpoise through the air. Yeah. You're like, thanks, Remy.
He just picks times to not be compliant.
Just your time. And then the weather held up, I feel really, really well at MA2. So even going into Sunday, I mean, it was pretty warm, but I think we were originally expecting a lot of rain on Sunday, and it ended up holding off.
Yeah.
And you guys did great going into the A final, which is so exciting. Yeah. So we've got nationals coming up, which is going to be on July 13th, 14th.
I think.
A time frame? Something like that?
I think it's the 13th.
Yeah. It's the second week of July. And Yeah, that's going to be really exciting, guys. I think it's a similar mix. We're going to have Melissa, we're going to have Jaise, we're going to have Carly, we're going to have Megan and
Annie.
Annie. You're right.
Mhm.
Annie's
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting. I'll get to see my Spotty in action again.
I know.
So what are like lessons learned this weekend? Like, okay, ring, we need to work handoffs maybe. What is something else like for each of you that you're kind of going into the next competition? You're like, okay, this is the thing I want to focus on. I know I focus on Carly every time, so.
For me, I think my vaulting, I only had like one true running vault. Luna was kind of finicky about the reins being near her ears, which was weird because she's never had that issue. But she definitely like gave me a bunch of sass down at sea when I went to go get back on, and she was like, "What are you doing?" Like, so most of my vaults were just like walking or standing, and we got one true running vault. But I am bringing my vaulting strap next time to hopefully help. So the reins don't get all caught up on her by her ears.
Yeah, she's got such a short front end too, like a short neck kind of in her build. She's very compact.
She is. She's very, very little. Other people get on her and they're always like, "How do you not fall off?" Like her,
you can like literally look down and make eye contact with your pony if you lean forward.
Oh yeah, in 2 point, if I am off her back, this is her head and this is me. Like it's.
You just have literally a better field of vision than most riders.
She's so cute.
Truly, like I can absolutely see over her head. It's so silly.
I love it. Okay, so I always think that I need to improve my vaulting. But what I honestly plan on doing is getting off later and getting on quicker. I think that might help Remington a little bit maintain his momentum for just an extra step. Yeah. So that way I'll have a chance to get on before he decides to just stop entirely and back up.
Yeah.
When we do stepping stones, it's good because he's already trotting beside me and we're going in a straight line. It's really that turn around me that he like has trouble. So even if I can just jump off as soon as the sock's there, grab it, he's still moving. And then whatever direction he's pointed in, just plan on jumping. I feel like I'll have like a better chance of getting on. Even if
I feel like Val was giving me some feedback on Hero last year. Yeah. And I was thinking about it after this weekend because Remy can get, when he gets frustrated, kind of like Hero, he gets a little bit belligerent and like tries to throw his head into you, or he turns his head into you.
Yeah.
And it makes it so his whole shoulder and wither is so far away that it's like, I don't know how you friggin' like Hail Mary into the saddle half the time, Carly.
Did you see my hula hoop? Did you see that?
It was, yeah.
He was sideways. And Ashley's just screaming at me, "You got this!" And I kind of just closed my eyes and I just jumped.
And I think you ended up behind the saddle and then pulled yourself in, or you were in the back of the saddle and pulled yourself in. Yeah, it was one of those. It's kind of like watching Thomas, your husband, who freaking grabs the front of whatever saddle. The saddle is shaped like a triceratops, you guys, because he's got an Australian stock saddle. I don't know why he chooses to ride in that saddle because to me, there's so much that can go wrong if you don't like aim right.
So much.
Especially as a dude. But he literally just like, his horse starts galloping away and he just grabs the front of the saddle with two arms and then like heaves. It doesn't matter where the horse is.
His whole butt comes like up in the air. It just goes whoop and he just lands in the saddle. And I'm like,
it's crazy.
I wish.
He just floats in the air.
Yep.
I know. And I'm like, how? Like, dude, man vaults.
I know, it's so unfair.
Carly, you could use some man vault. I mean,
I could. See, Thomas tried to train me to do the man vault, but it
really
did not work for me. He's like, you got to throw your shoulder over the horse. Throw your shoulder over the horse. I'm like, my center of gravity is my hip. My hip is the center of gravity. So what's throwing my shoulder over the horse going to do for me except lay me flat over the horse like a freaking pancake? It didn't do anything.
But, so Val was telling me to put your pony on a lunge line, have the rider like canter down, like away from the person who's on the lunge line, and then they jump off. And when they jump off and they duck to grab a thing, pull on the lunge line and reel the pony back in towards the handler on the ground, and don't let the rider touch the reins at all. So the rider then has the pony kind of whip around them. It's directed away from the rider, and it helps to encourage the shoulders to fall back under the horse and the horse to move out straight. So it's like, we should try to do a practice sometime before nationals and just see if there's anything that we could do with Remy. Because if he got in his head that he's like going around you and you don't have to touch the reins, I feel like he might like lengthen out and not get all bottled up in his neck, you know?
Well, another thing that I thought about starting every single time I go to vault, I'm going to ride him with a neck strap now. And instead of holding on to the reins, I'm going to hold on to the neck strap.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull him around like this with the neck strap and then try to jump on without grabbing the reins like at all.
Yeah, just don't touch the face.
So that way he can like calm down and not just assume that I'm gonna like pull on his mouth every single time, because he gets really frustrated and just he anticipates that.
Right.
So
how is Luna for the running vaults? Like, other than the reins up by her ears, because her ears are literally like so tight.
I have a tendency to, after or as I get off and I'm pulling her around the turn, I have a tendency to slide my hand up the reins instead of like grab in the middle. So for a really long time, I struggled because I was turning her face in. Like and around my body.
And that pushes them away.
Right. So it was just like a really awkward way to vault. But my neck strap really, really helped with that. So even if I like unconsciously slide my hand up the rein, like it's at the neck strap instead of me pulling on her face.
It like gives you a target.
So right. And I think that's so helpful. So she definitely has sometimes, again, like she anticipates it. So she like preemptively does it. But for the most part, she stays pretty straight for me, which is so helpful. Like I said, she's such a good girl.
So you kind of grew up learning under Phyllis. Was there ever like a really good piece of advice you got when it came to vaulting or learning to vault? So Jaise does games. They both coach, but it's mainly Jaise. And I'm trying to think. I honestly think the best piece of advice for me, I used to be an over vaulter, and almost every single time I vaulted, I was on the other side of my horse. And I was so frustrated. I just like couldn't get in the saddle. Like it was just overshooting so high. And I feel like that probably was my biggest issue with vaulting for a really long time. So I bend my left leg when I vault to like attempt to keep my leg body from going over.
Right. And I think that was probably the most helpful. And to really just like get out of my own head. I feel like a lot of the time, like, again, I know that like my horse will never steer me wrong, like intentionally. And she knows her job and she's so good and she waits for me a lot of the time. But when she does have that little bit of extra kick, typically in a competition, but sometimes when we're like riding out in the field instead of the ring, to just like go for it. Because like what's the worst that's gonna happen? Like you fall, like your feet are already on the ground, you know what I'm saying? So like
that's fair.
So I feel like to just like stop, like get out of your own head, stop thinking about it, and just get up on the horse. I feel like those, and then something that Jaise taught me was like for agility races, and for, I guess, vaulting races too, was for me and Luna personally, I think getting off earlier is a lot. I don't know what it is about getting off earlier for her, but I think she just does a lot better when I'm there to really guide her around the turn, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But honestly, getting out of my own head, and like if she's galloping for the vault, to just go for it and like get up as soon as possible. Jaise used to count during practice, and we had to be up by 3.
That was what I was thinking, right? When I went through my little journey learning to vault, having come from being really fearful of getting my butt off the ground for some reason. But I started to realize that by going out there every single day, I was just drilling myself to exhaustion. In a way, it was good though, because I would mentally be like, oh my gosh, just jump. Oh my gosh, just jump, because you just want to be done with it. Like,
yeah.
But before that, you're like waiting for the perfect time, and it never feels right when you haven't gotten past that point. You know, so you almost, like you're saying, like you have to just in your head, like I would like sing little songs to myself or like distract myself, or I'd count down, and it'd be like no matter how the stride is or how it feels, just do it at that point, because even if it's wrong, you start to get past the like, I need to feel like I'm in sync with my horse. No, look at the actual good vaulters out there. They freaking like they jump. They just make it happen.
Yeah. I think for me, having someone count out loud for me, it was like under pressure and you had to do it. And I think that was really, really helpful for me. Like she used to have us all go down to sea, be on our horses. She would tell us to get off, and then we had to be up by 3. And you're all going. It's like it used to be like 12 kids. Like you're all going in this ring. And like you want to be first, like you're competing against your friends. So I think like friendly competition was helpful for me too.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's kind of fun. It keeps getting me thinking again about clinics and drills and like practices that we need to be doing outside of just competition.
Speaking of that, Val commented, she said, I'm going to work on the old style curve dash corner vault at camp, so I'll let you know which technique works best to train. That would be super helpful.
Yes.
Please.
Caroline Rosner. She said, I want to work on leaning pickups while moving. I can do them stopped. If you can do them stopped, you can do them by leaning or by going forward. I'm telling you, like it's easier in movement to get your lean than it is to do it at a standstill. Trust me. Try it.
And I think so. Thomas, when he came back from Australia years back, he came back with a tip, and I remember him going through, and I thought he was crazy. But every horse that he was riding at the time, he would do his warm up, and he would literally do the bending pulls and lean and have his right hand on his like stirrup or past his stirrup, and he would do the whole bending pulls like that, and he would turn, and then he would lean on the other side and do the whole bending pulls like that. So he would do that because it, from the Aussie coach, one, it desensitizes the horse so that they don't track under you quite as aggressively, but two, it helps you as a rider get very comfortable with the motion while you're down there. So for riders who have ponies that track under them like way too aggressively, just do it in warm up every single time the pony gets over it like real fast. But two, part of the reason I think you have issues when you lean is you probably feel like your center of balance is off, like it doesn't feel comfortable. So just be in that position more. It will get you comfortable, and it's going to allow you to then focus just on the pickup. So I think anybody who's galloping pickups or galloping leans, the biggest advice that I think we would all give, but you can tell me if I'm wrong, is 100% focus on the element. You know how to ride. You know how to stay on the horse. You have to focus on getting that thing and doing just that thing. If you try to think about both, that's where you tend to start missing stuff.
Just open your hip. That's really what what took me to the next level was your right hip. You have to open up your right hip and just kind of let it fold underneath of you and lean on the inside of where your like elbow almost like brushes the inside of your thigh. And like that's the position you have to put yourself in. You're not on the outside of your leg. You're on the inside of your leg so that you can really fold in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like the best, right? And mom started getting her leans, and I was like, go through your hip,
Yeah.
because if you think about when you're sitting on the horse, if your knees are plastered onto the saddle, there's only so much that you can do. Your mobility is really
Right.
limited.
Right.
Think about using like the back of your like thighs, kind of like more of your dressage seat, and open that hip and go on through it, and it'll allow you to compress down like a lot lower. And you see Carly, she's like a spider monkey, like upside down when she grabs stuff.
No.
Well, if you use your left hand on the rein, or like on the horse's withers or breastplate, or even just like the mane, and you use that, you just pull yourself right back up.
That's your
Mhm.
anchor.
You're not gonna fall off.
Yeah.
Even if you do, it's not that far to fall off from because you're already this close to the ground.
Yeah.
Val.
So Val is so right. She said, not that my quotes was anything to watch it. Okay, it was, girl. You got it. I'm pretty sure I got video of you leaning for your quotes at some point, but because it was good. But you're right. You know, when you're leaning, you don't want to be so
Right.
on top of the item that you have to go out the side because for the same reason, right? You have very limited mobility over your hip if you're just leaning out to the side. You want to be leaning forward and through that open hip that you're giving yourself the space and the time to do, you know, the
Right.
action.
And
So
you
think
also
earlier.
earlier 100%, that's such good advice. Really
Mm.
ride your horse past the element and then lean before you actually get to it. That way, as you ride past it, you're able to snatch it up. But it was also thinking you got to think about that left leg, and that left leg also has to wrap around the saddle, depending on how tall your horse is and how short you are. Um, because you might not actually get to reach the ground with your left foot still in the saddle, still in the stirrups. You might have to take
Yeah.
your left foot out of the stirrups and wrap it around the back of the saddle.
Yeah.
Which means you need a pony that has withers.
Yeah, that's helpful.
You're gonna lose it. Margot, this is gibberish to me. I've never been able to figure out the mechanics of the lean. This is why we need to sit down and do some videos, Carly. It'd be so
Yeah.
good to just talk through some super basic stuff that I think if you can just implement in your warm up, it goes so far. And again, just the lean. If you guys are going out and you're doing your little bending warm up, just lean through the hip and practice touching your toe and like holding your toe while you're bending your pony through the poles.
Right.
Get like that kind of mechanic down so it feels comfortable, and it's going to be a lot better. I hate the saddle wrap. It's scary, says Val. Val, I agree with you, but I'm also not only 100 pounds and like on a super tall pony. So I think some people can pull it off. You see some people even in Europe, right? They're just crazy because they hook the back of the saddle and they can be like upside down all day. But I have to be careful because I've got too much mass, obviously, and my pony is a little bit rounder. So you've got to be a little bit, and very lucky that I'm very tall, but I kind of have to anchor over the horse and then just lean off. And I feel like Jace, you probably are in the same position.
Yeah. I think it's hard, like, not having some height is definitely an advantage. And like, I'm not even that tall. Like, my mare is just tiny.
Yeah.
But I think, like, again, Luna has no withers. So I definitely used to wrap my foot around the saddle. But I just can't trust it anymore. Like, the way that my saddle slips, I'm like, ugh. So I keep my left foot in the stirrup too.
Have you all seen the horseball stuff, that whole sport called horseball?
Yes.
Okay. It's like, all right, hang on, Carly. I got to show you because this is actually pretty cool. But the reason that I'm bringing it up is because they're really interesting in that they have a tether between their stirrups underneath their saddle, and that way they can hook their foot into the stirrup, and it doesn't allow the saddle to rotate. Here, I've got some pictures. It's just freaking crazy. But anyway, I was like, I wish this was allowed in mounted games because it would be so crazy, some of the stuff that you could pull off if you were able to use the getup that they have in horseball. This, mind you, is something that we should totally do at like a camp or something because it's crazy.
Stirrups are
Okay,
tied underneath
so
it.
it literally is like this soccer ball that has these like hoops on it, right? And so riders, I wish this would get bigger. Come on. Oh no, what have I done? It's clicked off. So there you go. Like here you can see like riders will literally be completely inverted while galloping to get this ball off the ground. And they've got these hoops that are suspended on either end of the arena. And it's kind of like pull across, but with a football type situation. And anyway, underneath the saddle between the two stirrups is a tether so that when you lean on one side, you can hook your foot into your stirrup and your stirrup is just not able to swing up onto the saddle, which means that it's an anchor point. So you can literally hang upside down on your horse while they're galloping. And like us games people, this is so cool to me. Like I'm so excited about this. I just have to say.
Interesting.
Like
Awesome.
Shannon says that their stirrups are just tied underneath them. Like they're tied together, right?
Yeah.
From underneath the horse.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
They're literally like it's a tether that hooks the two stirrups and then goes through. There's a little girth loop on the girth, and then it just goes through the girth and basically tethers the two stirrups so that if you were to like pull one of the stirrups up, it would just stop at a point, right?
Okay.
So now you can just hook your toe into the stirrup and you can just literally like lean and flip off your horse because your stirrup won't go anywhere. But I was just thinking that is so much safer than hooking the back of your saddle. I wish it was legal equipment, and would they catch me if I tried?
For your roly-poly-olies.
I know.
Shannon says yes. Yes, it's legal?
I think she's saying stirrups are tied underneath them, and then yes, what? It'd be safer? Sure, what? Can I get away with it? Is that what you're saying? I should try. I think when someone sees me and my horse is galloping completely home and I'm upside down, but my feet are still suspended in the saddle correctly, and I'm too weak to hoist myself back up onto my galloping horse, they're probably going to be suspicious, but I wonder. Anyway, it got me thinking about some of the crazy leans and how like a Kelsey or a Brie are able to do that without cheating.
Yeah. That's a straightaway too. Because, it's one thing to lean while your horse is actually turning, because then they drop their shoulder. But while your horse is going straight, there's no dropping of the shoulder happening. You're just hanging off sideways, a bolting horse running in a different direction.
And like
than
the horse doesn't pull you back up into the saddle. Like you just have to be like that incredibly athletic.
Right.
So yeah, that's goals. We need to work on our vaults, work on our leans apparently. And then Caroline said, should probably learn how to mount properly first. Caroline, by the way, I hope that you're feeling better. I know that you tore your hamstring and cracked your hip when you fell off at the last competition. So
poor Caroline,
get better.
Now the question is, are you allowed to ride at nationals? Are you going to be better at that point?
Duct tape can't fix, am I right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So you guys, this weekend, let's do the favorite and least favorite races. What was your favorite race that you played and why for you?
Jaise, you go first.
Oh god. I feel like I need a reminder of all of the races.
You think like you've got your mug shuffle, your carton, your quoits, your sock, your toolbox, your tack shop,
you were
which
amazing
is
at toolbox. One. Yes, you were so good at tack shop too.
I think probably I would say either toolbox or quoits. Luna is just, those are like, she has her races and she just absolutely loves those races. Like as long as I've been competing in games, with her, I have been fourth in toolbox. And she just like eats up that turn, like every single time. And she's so good for that pickup. Like I can really sit back. Not everything do I have that good of brakes, but for some reason that race, if I like really sit in my butt, she just is, it's just her race and it's so much fun. Just because she knows it so well and she knows what I'm asking of her. And so I think probably either one of those two. And I would probably say my least favorite race was tack shop. I just don't like tack shop. It's like, I just don't like it. Like, I never
That's so
practice
crazy
it.
to me as like a videographer because you crushed that race. You
Thank
did so good in that race. But I get it, like there's so many times where people are like, "Oh, you did," and you're like, "Man, but that wasn't fun because like the whole time I had to be like on point."
I know, and it's just like I feel like there's no like point where I really get to like let Luna go.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So that like she can stretch her legs. But I just like the handoff is always dicey. I feel like no matter if I'm like on a team with people that I'm like practicing once a week with, it doesn't matter. Like the handoff is always so dicey. I hate that stupid coin. And then that put down, like, oh gosh, and the toolbox pickup, like, I think that's fun. For some reason, I guess I just like whip it back and everything always stays in. But then the put down with everything in, if you're third, that's so or fourth,
that's so hard. And you were third, I think.
It's so much pressure. And then having to pick up that coin again and hand it back off.
You're right. That is a really stressful race. I haven't thought about it that way. But like you're right, the whole time it's just like
yeah, when you break it down, when you like really, really think about it, it's like, okay, this, and then all over again.
It's all over again.
It's so
and not just all over again, but all over again heading home.
Right.
Yeah.
As your horse is like, let me go.
With a full toolbox.
Oh my gosh. And then that check, Luna was not, she like almost completely turned around in the opposite direction.
I tried to be like 100% committed to the check.
She like, I like went to go like do an S turn before, and she was like, I'm trying to go this way. Why are you telling me to go this way? Like, and she almost took me there. I was like, Pony, this way.
She's so compact too. She can just like.
I know. She just, and it's not even like she has like a bit in her mouth to like grab and run with. Like, I just don't have the capacity in my arms to like really check her. So I just have to rely on my seat and my leg to push her over if I'm doing an S turn. But sometimes that's just not enough.
Just so Instagram, I noticed that we've got a ton of people who are watching on Instagram. It doesn't come through on StreamYard. So we've got Laura Barber, we've got Lindsay Toby, Ashley is on, Elena is on, we've got Bella Pellet, Jesse Fendora, shout out because we're talking about your awesome coaching, and Cash King. Ashley commented and said, your vaulting was great, Jaise, keep up your confidence and just say you got this the whole way. And Carly, like you did entire, just commit. So, so exciting.
Sure did.
And then Caroline here, I had to switch chats here. Caroline, Tax Shop and Twitter give you no time to breathe. You guys didn't play Twitter this weekend, did you?
No, we did not.
Thank goodness.
At least I only chose one.
Thanks goodness.
That, I don't like that race either.
That is a hard race on hot ponies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they picked one.
Meltdown.
Like either do Twitter or do tack.
I would choose Tack Shop over Twitter personally.
Shop. Yeah, no, I agree. It's that whole leaning for the litter thing.
It's while just getting your horse gets really like weird about going for litter away from his end turn, you know.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Carly, favorite race? I don't think we ever did you, so.
No, we haven't. I'm looking at the races. I always love me some Coits. Carton is Remington and I's race though, but then also ring race we did really, really good. I feel like ring race is really great. I was able to keep him off a lot of the equipment at C line, which we had been struggling with recently, especially at MA1 by the second and third session, it felt like he was really just falling in no matter how far I rode him past the element. Anytime I would lean into the equipment to do whatever I'm supposed to do, he would just kind of like fall right underneath of me and not hold himself up. But this past weekend, I really I kind of planned ahead and I outthought him a little bit and was able to kind of micromanage the situation most of the time. And he was really, really good. I feel like he had 0 issues on Sunday altogether. So
He was
really, really
brilliant
proud
on
of him.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Which is
really
weird
proud
for
of
him. I feel like as he gets tired, he usually gets a little bit more crabby.
Yeah, yeah.
So he stepped it
Well,
up.
ever since we talked to Caroline Rosner and she mentioned giving ponies like Butte during the weekend, I started that at MA1 and didn't really notice much of a difference, but I also did it for MA2 and I wonder if that's kind of like what kind of helped him. He was sore, but not like sore and frustrated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
It's
just
kind of
feel
like
like
when you go out and do something super strenuous and you take a Tylenol in the evening. Like if you're not
yeah.
overly booting your horse, but you know, preventatively work it for inflammation.
Yeah, he got a good night's rest and then he was able to, you know, sleep peacefully and then had a good morning. Also, it was interesting riding in the morning, and this seems really random, but we had ride in the morning sessions for MA2, but MA1, we were riding basically in the afternoons.
You're right.
He was
And in
so
the
much
afternoon
better in the
twice,
morning.
so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. He was so much better in the mornings at MA2.
Interesting. Yeah.
Maybe it's because
wonder-
it's cooler. Like he's a little bit fresher, you know, but like not necessarily like hot, but like ready to go. I feel like I noticed that with Luna because when it's hot, she's like, why would I move?
Yeah.
Why would I go fast?
Right.
But definitely when it's like cooler and, you know, the pony things when it's cooler, but
the stars
I think about
for us.
me, like you go out at noon and you like do something, you get really sweaty and stinky and you come in and you shower and you settle and then you're like, I don't really want to do that a second time. But I can go out in the morning and like do something as long as, you know, I don't know. I wonder if horses are the same where they go out at noon and they're like, ugh, and then they have to go back out and they're like, dude, this stinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the Butte, I think, was a really good thing. I know that like Hero really responds well to having a little bit of like ulcer treatment over the weekend while he's out too, or some anti-inflammatories. But just realizing that you're taking your horse out of your completely comfort zone at home and then putting them in this really stressful environment, even if they enjoy competition, it's still stressful sleeping away from home.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we're going into July here, guys. It's going to be really hot. What are we doing? What is our plan to help mitigate some of the heat? I mean, it's going to be 90 degrees out there on that sand.
I think for us, obviously, box fan in the stall. And I can't remember because I haven't competed in so long. Is that barn cooler in the summer, like when it's really hot?
It's not terribly hot, but it definitely, I think the box fans are huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the air current in there.
Yeah, and then you know, I feel like sometimes if Luna's really, really hot, after the second session, like my night check on her, I'll even like bathe her, like hose her down, and just let her drip dry because it does get terribly hot for that July.
So Margot was saying electrolytes for sure is a good reminder as we go into the summer here. And doing an evening session on Saturdays is what they do, so ponies aren't running in the heat of the day. Yeah, there was so many sessions because of the split heat for open. I feel like we ran the entirety of the weekend and it did get pretty hot out there. Yeah. So with July coming up, guys, water, electrolytes, hosing your pony. I think definitely we need a lot of heat mitigation strategies. It always worries me when people are out there wearing helmets. We're pushing ourselves really hard, right? And again, it's like 90 plus degrees, especially because this is a mid-July. Usually we're earlier, I feel like, in July. Maybe not. Maybe it's not. But it feels like it could
I feel like
be.
we're later usually in July. I don't know why.
It's gonna be hot. So anyway, just
July is hot.
It really it stood out to me, the pregnant lady who was videoing for 9 hours in the sun. I was like, dang, guys, y'all are awesome. I forgot I was once one of you.
You will be one of us soon.
Soon enough,
right? All right, you guys, so we're rolling up on an hour. Closing thoughts as we get ready for nationals. How often are y'all going to practice? What's the commit here? Carly?
The question should be, how often am I going to ride?
That's fair, too.
Twice a week. That's all I got
Twice
right
a week?
now. Yeah, I have lessons. I teach, and then I also...
I mean, your pony's getting worked through the week, so...
Yeah, he's getting worked through the week, and so me personally, I'm planning on riding 2 ponies twice a week, so that's 4 times riding for me.
And Jaise, how about you?
My goal for just riding in general is 4 to 5 days a week. Ooh. Because she is so round, and I have pretty much nothing to do as of right now other than ride. So I'm really trying to just focus on getting her back as to what she used to look like. Yes. And then I think I try not to play games too much because I just find that she just gets wrapped up in it. And she starts overthinking, and I feel like sometimes can become a little hot because of it. So just focusing on variety in our rides. Like we ride on the road a lot because we don't have access to trails. And then games once a week and flat and jumping.
Oh, can she jump?
Oh my gosh, she is the best jumper. She snaps her little hind end up no matter what the jump is. She's so scopy. The highest I've jumped her is like 3.2-ish.
What? She is 3.2 tall. So
I know.
The coolest all-around horse I could ever ask for. Like,
that is amazing.
Dream pony. She is the best little jumper.
So this is your sign, people in the comments, people watching. You guys ride your ponies as we go into the summer. Make sure that they are used to this heat before we get out there and compete. And you might as well throw some jumping in. You don't know if you've got a pony like Luna who can do it all. So, guys, any other closing thoughts? We got this. It's 9:16, and I am ready for sleep.
I'm also ready for sleep. Thank you so much, Jaise, for coming on tonight. I'm so excited to have you on the team for the season.
You were brilliant. You are such a great asset to the team. Like, honestly, you were so consistent. You just crushed it out there. So we're so excited to have you.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on Unbridled Talk, our little debrief here. We'll definitely have to have you back as we go through the season and see how things progress. But you guys have a wonderful evening, and we will catch you next Wednesday on Unbridled Talk. See you guys later. Bye. And thanks again, Jaise.
Yes.